everyone, my name is AJ, and I haven't come up with a good intro yet. Today, I'm going to be taking a second shot at redesigning Lucifer from Has Been Hotel. I have designed him before, and completely rewritten him. I haven't changed any of his lore, so if you want to find out more about his whole deal, I recommend you check out my first video about him. But finish watching this one first. The only vital thing for you to know right now is that in my AU, Lucifer and Satan are the same person, and I will be using those names interchangeably. When I do get around to redesigning and rewriting a hell of a boss, I will be exchanging Vivzi's Satan for a different demon. Now, while I don't think my first design was bad by any means, I do think I can push it farther. I wasn't the biggest fan of his suit. I want to make him look more like a demon, but at the same time more like an angel, and also more like an approachable person who's a little cutie, but it's impossible to do all of those things at once. So I thought, let's just make him a full-on shapeshifter. In the show, and also in the original biblical text, Lucifer is a shapeshifter. He can turn into all kinds of different animals. From the Bible, we've only, as far as I know, we've only heard about him changing himself to look like a serpent. But in the show, he can do any animal. So I see no reason why he can't have multiple human-like forms as well. I don't know why exactly I didn't make him a full shapeshifter the first time. It's the obvious decision. I think I just didn't want to draw multiple forms and outfits for him at the time. This time, though, I will be doing exactly that. I decided to start with a simple casual form for him. I was originally going to jump right into fixing his main outfit, but I was going through a little bit of art block at the time, so I thought I would start with something a little easier. I have found that I have a much easier time designing outfits if I start with a pose. A good pose can tell you so much about a character's personality. Besides that, it's just more fun to draw and to look at, even if it does require more work and artistic skill. I had the idea of Satan serving up sin. He wants sin to be as tempting and easy to do as possible. He wants sin to be easier than doing good. And it is. If consequences weren't a thing, being evil would be 100% easier to do. I was rewatching Lucifer and Alistair's duet and remembering just how much I loved Lucifer's waiter outfit. It only shows up for a brief moment, but it's just so dang cute, I just had to steal it. So yeah, I went with a waiter, butler type type thing for this first outfit. It's a very simple black vest on top of a white undershirt with thin red stripes going down it. It also has a little bow tie and an apron around the waist. I stole that outfit directly with almost no changes. It's perfect the way it is. I did make a few modifications to his hair and body though. I made the shapes of his hair softer and rounder. For those who don't know, according to the scriptures that I've read, Lucifer used to be a cherub, and cherubs are described as having 4 different heads, one of which is a lion, so he has a lion's mane. I took his dragon wings away and made them into regular wing shards like all fallen angels have. Lucifer's dragon form cannot fly and doesn't have any limbs, so I thought it was a little strange that he would have dragon wings in his main form. Cherubs also have 16 wings total. They're described as having 4 wings on each head, but that was just impractical, so I put them in more convenient places. 4 on his head, 4 on his tail, 2 on his back, 1 on each foot, and 2 on each arm. I also kept all 7 shackles from the first design, 1 on each limb, 1 on his neck, and 2 on his tail. He cannot take these off ever, not to get dressed, not to do anything. I thought it would be cute if he tried to hide the most obvious one, the one on his neck, by tying his bow tie around it so it looks more like it's supposed to be a part of his outfit, instead of the thing keeping him trapped in hell. I used all the same colors as the waiter outfit, black vest, red stripes, and a light shirt. I used both white and an off-white light gray, so determining the colors of those was a little more difficult. I mean, like the color placement, I mean. I also wasn't sure at first if I wanted to give him black pants because his limbs are black, but I picked it eventually. Fun fact, Satan's limbs are black because his true limbs burned off in the fall. The one he uses right now are fake. He made them out of sinner flesh and has to replace them whenever the sinner he took them from dies. We also return to the blonde hair. Vivzi's Lucifer has natural blonde hair, mine has natural silver hair. After thinking about it for a while, I thought it would be so awesome and be so cool if he dyed it to look more like Adam. Lucifer is insanely jealous of him. I think copying Adam's hair color, even if it isn't like the perfect right shade, is perfectly within character. For form number 2, I wanted to draw him pretending to be God. Lucifer frequently pretends to be God to trick people into forming cults. He's done this with both Vox and Rosie and many others throughout both the past and present. It's a risky move to appear in front of a living human. Sometimes it backfires and only makes a human more righteous, and sometimes it draws heaven's ire and makes everything worse. In my AU, God doesn't actually look like what you're seeing. He looks different to everyone. He will appear as a perfect version of whoever is looking at him. Lucifer doesn't know this, so he mimics the appearance of what he saw with some modifications. When Lucifer sees God, he sees what he was always meant to be. A cherub. He was created specifically to be a cherub, and the role of a cherub is to help humanity avoid sin. He hated that. He didn't want to be a cherub, he wanted to be human. So rather than appearing as a cherub, he modifies his godly form to look more like a human. He keeps all the wings in the same spot though. I didn't bother to draw the hands for this form, but he still has them. They're hidden within the feathers of his wings. Even in this form though, he can't get the shackles to disappear. So he does try to hide most of them as best he can, but the one on his neck is real dang obvious. I gave him, he tries to work that into his lore. I gave him a very light color palette that's meant to mimic God's, but it's obviously very different. It still uses off-whites as accents, but they're not the right tint, and the darks and lights have been inverted. I had to keep some red on his design though. He looks like a completely different character if he doesn't have some red somewhere. I decided like I would make the shoulder cloak thing red. I also gave him a similar star of light in front of his face to mimic the one that God uses when he's appearing in front of living humans. If a living human sees the face of God without him physically changing the structure of their atoms, they'll disintegrate. So Lucifer mimics that but uses it as a mask. His light is also shaped differently than God's. Another form I wanted to draw was the dragon. I am not a fan anymore of my first dragon design form. It doesn't look scary. It looks like a little guy. I want it to be scarier. I remember seeing a multi-animator project of Let's Kill Tonight, and one of the animations was of this dragon-like creature that had a face that could split into multiple heads, and I love that idea so much. I wanted to keep the 7 heads as a feature of his dragon form, since we have so little information about the rest of his appearance. It's the only part of him that we know for certain. And now I finally have a good way of drawing all the heads without having to draw all the heads. It took a few tries, but I eventually landed on this one. 3 heads with 1 eye each slotted into each other, with horns that look like a crown and a mane that hides the neck seams. Lucifer will have 2 of these heads up front, and will keep his snail head in the back. Boom, 7 heads. I didn't draw the rest of the dragon though, because I didn't feel like it, and it would have taken up a lot of room on the reference sheet. I'm certain that I'll probably draw a separate image of just his dragon form, but I didn't do that at the time of recording this audio. Maybe I did it later, maybe I didn't. I guess we'll find out when I edit the darn thing. I was thinking of giving him a female form and actually sketched out 2 options, but I hated them both, so I cut them out of the video and also out of the lore. He doesn't need a female form. That's what Lilith and the succubi are for. He can still turn into a girl, but I'm thinking for that, the only thing that'll change is that he'll have eyelashes that look like Eve's. We finally arrive at Lucifer's main outfit. I really wanted him to look like a king, and this time I referenced Vivzi's Lucifer much more heavily than I have before. The hat returns. I hadn't kept the hat before because it was annoying to draw and there wasn't any room for his wing shards, but I've gotten more creative since my first attempt. I put 2 holes in the front of the hat for his wing shards to poke out of, and there's plenty of room on the sides for the other 2. I also simplified the hat to have just the crown on it. I think putting a snake and an apple and a crown on the hat was a bad idea. It's too much happening all in one area, and honestly looks like it would be really annoying to animate. The suit makes a return as well, but with some adjustments to the front of it to make it easier for me to draw. You've probably noticed his staff. Vivzi's Lucifer had a staff that had an apple on the end of it, which in her version of the lore is the forbidden fruit. I've changed this so that the forbidden fruit is not a fruit that actually exists on Earth anymore. I designed the fruit to have the exterior of a dragon fruit and the interior of a pomegranate, with dragon fruit sludge surrounding the individual berries. The fruit and leaves are also real, preserved with a spell to keep it from rotting. Lucifer keeps it around as a trophy of the day he thinks he beat God. He was actually playing right into his hands, but he doesn't know that. The animal heads from his first design are still here. For those who didn't watch my first video, in his first design I put 2 animal heads on the back of his head because cherub. I hated their placement. I always did. It looked awkward. They looked like they were glued on, but I didn't know how to fix it. But now I do. I have made them bigger and placed them on his back where there's more surface area for them. I like this way better. I won't be adding them onto his casual form because his casual form is a physically different form for a different purpose. His casual form is made to put you at ease. It's specifically designed to be cute and endearing. In this form, he is a little bit shorter, his eyes are bigger, he's fluffier, and he acts very different. In king mode, his eyes are smaller and have a different shape, his hair is thinner and not quite as round, the wing shards that look like horns are longer and sharper, that kind of thing. He also does a better job at hiding his shackles so that he doesn't appear as trapped and helpless. What he wanted in his casual form to look more trapped and helpless a little bit, so that people wouldn't be as scared of him and, by extension, as scared of doing sin. He's trapped, he can't hurt you. For colors, I kept most of them the same. He still has the black vest with red stripes and the undershirt, but the pants change to gray. He has a red suit coat, and the hat is also gray, with a red felt thing around it and the golden crown. I wanted to keep his hair yellow too, but it just didn't look right. It felt too overstimulating. It felt too overstimulating and made him look too young, so I went with his natural silver locks. I don't have any rewrites for you today. Unfortunately, all the story ideas I've got for him, I have to keep under wraps for now. I want you to be surprised when things happen. However, I would recommend you stop by the Discord. We had a really fun time together about a little more than a week ago when this goes up. A fan of mine named Quinn, whose fan art you've seen plenty of times, also made a Lucifer redesign, and we started joke flirting as our Lucifers, and now it's a ship. We have a lot of fun in there. Want to meet some new people? Join the Discord. The link should be in the description if I've done my job right. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and an extra special thank you to my patrons JRDS, Mercer Scott Holt, Stephen Drake, Jay Draws, and Silent Savvy. I take commissions too if you want to get yourself some cool artwork. I'll see you all next week in a super cool video about whatever script I finish first. See ya!